I don't know if anyone's here.
Leilani, is Dan not gonna be here?
Dan is out sick, but Jerry is coming in.
Where is it?
He is.
Jerry's just in the hallway. He'll be in the morning.
So he'll be in a minute.
I keep that one as sheets.
Would you like?
All
to get
right,
him?
so meeting's been called to order. Before before we get started, I want to accomplish two things really quickly. One, we have some new members and everyone's sort of getting used to everybody's name and saving anyone from embarrassment. Even I forget names too. So if we can, go around the table real quick, we'll start with Richard and we can go.
David, Richard Clifford, David Brown.
Laura Body.
Oh, numbers. Leilani Isereed.
Andy LaRocco, Fire Department Liaison.
Robert Stark.
Michael Starr.
All right, and Richard is fully entitled to ask. Just to clarify
Your
this.
name again?
Can you tell me your name again? Because it's, we only
I may
see
go
this once in a
Star.
while.
I may go around the afterwards.
And of course, I have confused Star and Stark, I think, in every time I've ever recorded the minutes.
Two R's.
One. No one knows.
One of the projects that we had before we get going was the prioritization of old business. And I did all the math on here by hand because that's what you do. Laura will remind us when you have a spreadsheet, right? That's what you do it by hand. But it was sort of enjoyable and fun and I like doing it. So of the 42 cases that we considered, 42 cases, the average composite score after each member of the commission scored out and ranked between 1 to 5, 1 being not important, 5 being most important. The composite score average was 3.58. We had 16 cases, 16 that were greater than 4. Okay, so between 4 and 5. We had 13 cases that were equal to or greater than 3, but less than 4. So in that 3 to 4 range, 13 cases. And then we had 13 cases that were less than 3, that had a composite score less than 3. All right. So that sort of, it breaks it up into kind of buckets of kind of thirds. Like we had some nice natural groupings there. That once I email this around, maybe we can have a conversation on email and how we want to proceed. Does that sound reasonable to everybody?
Mhm.
Yes.
So, I'm sorry. I apologize, I wasn't paying attention. So how are we handling the backlog? We're not going to do that next.
We didn't get to that. He's just
So-
Yeah,
summarizing
just
what we
yeah.
have.
Summarizing how we scored it out. So of the
This
42
is all so
cases,
far.
it kind of broke up into very nice thirds, right? So you have a bucket that are 4 and higher, about 16. You have a group that's in the middle of about 13, and then you have those on the bottom side of 13, right? So it's a kind of a nice balance. And I'll sort them once I get it sorted, and I'll circulate it back to everyone tomorrow. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
So I guess the top third, if I may, would be go into old business, right? More or less.
Yeah, well, it's all old business.
Right,
It's
that's
just
like
a way.
Priority. of-
Yeah, for us to think about it, and it was a kind of a democratic process to rank. I know we have a lot to get through tonight and only 80 something minutes to get through it. So, on new business,
You print that.
on new business, and Laura, we missed you last meeting, so.
Sorry about
we're-
that.
No, need to apologize. You were missed, that's all.
Thank you.
And I just want to give you the floor for maybe about 2 to 5 minutes, and you can talk a little bit about the improvement that you're proposing on the website complaint form.
Sure, I can pass it around. And here was the old complaint form, which I will pass around as well. I just trying to make sense out of how we can have residents filter information to us rather than sending an email and us having to go back and forth with them and streamline and save some time. And the old complaint form, nobody, no resident was really utilizing this form. One resident in the past year I've seen using that was Mr. Phil Tripoli. My thought process is to gear them to use the form. We could have some sort of automated away message when a resident sends a complaint or an issue to the traffic commission, providing them with a link to this form so they can fill out the information. So it's right here in black and white. So we're not going back and asking questions. We're cutting once, measuring twice. I guess that would be the best way for me to describe it. And I'm not gonna lie, I went back and forth. I went to the town, I went to RAI, I went to many different websites and found, components to put together into this form. And it's subject to change. It's a rough draft, but it's for everybody to have their input in. So this way we're not getting an email and we're hitting the basic points before we have to review it, saving us time. We can figure out what the issue is, how we can fix it, if it's a rectifiable issue before it can get to the board. We can filter it through. It's all workable. I mean, it was just a quick thought process, and your input I'd appreciate as well. But it would give us, insight as to the situations at hand, rather than having to have lengthy conversations. We'd be able to maybe minimize it to an extent where we can be more productive. Thoughts?
Ryan, could you pass this down?
Oh.
They're right in the middle.
Yes. And just to be clear, the old one is
That's the old one.
this rather brief form and the new one is this longer.
Which we cut out the verbiage, and we just, if you make this a workable form, it's not going to be on 3 pages. It's going to be in front of you.
Right, yeah.
So this form hopefully could only be like a Google Doc. It would depend on what the tech department can do to make it workable. It could filter into a spreadsheet. It doesn't have to be printed out. It can be right there on your screen.
Yeah, like a
but-
survey
so it's-
monkey
right.
that dumps all everything into a document or a Google Sheet. or
Google
something.
Sheet,
Yeah.
exactly. They send us an email and an automatic response returns, thank you for, email. Here are simple steps that you can take for us to help you, in the process, and a link to this form or whatever this form turns out to be, to that email process, and where,
Which is on our website, right?
right,
This is on the website.
it's on the website now,
Replaces this one as a fillable form.
correct.
Okay.
But we have nothing absolutely directing the resident to that form unless they physically go to the website and look for the form. But if it's in the automated email,
Yep.
when they're sending that email and directing that to some sort of verbiage to fill something of this type out, we're receiving that. So maybe it's a stop sign. They don't have to come straight to the traffic commission. If it's a stop sign that needs to be repaired, we can move that
I
to,
take those.
to the
Elena
depart-
gives those to me.
right.
Yeah,
to the department that it needs to
Like
be in.
you.
yeah, that's all right.
Lines that need to be repainted, that's a work order, that we can move that along and filter that out and then start breaking down to the priorities that need to be seen in the traffic commission.
So ideally, Brian, if I could, it should be returned to Elena so that Elena can filter it either to traffic board or to staff. And that would work out fine.
Right.
When you get the email, where do you get the email? You get the email at Board of Traffic? What email are you referring to? Is it your email, your Vomni.net email, that you would have a link to it, or what's the automated message that you would have the? email to?
I would think it would have to be in both the VOM singular email and the traffic commission email, because if a resident bypasses the traffic commission email, they won't get that automated response. But if they send it to either or, and you're getting the same response, they're getting the same directive.
So I can publish the Board of Traffic email. I don't necessarily want to publish your emails. I can, the village emails, doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean?
But they are able to see that on the traffic commission website.
They are.
So,
Sure, but if I give them the Board of Traffic, whatever this is called, incident report.
right,
And then have the link. Oh, I see what you're saying. So if they know you and they see you on the website and they send you an
Right.
issue, don't you want it to go to you, or do you want it to be an automatic response? That's
Well,
the question.
I would make it an automatic response. I mean, we're able to read that and respond, thank you for the email, and I usually move, if I get a personal response, I forward it to the chair. But to make sure that we're not missing anything,
Yeah.
that automated response should go immediately, either way. So they're able to fill this out.
We can do that.
But again, this has to be vetted.
Yeah.
You know, completely, like this is a rough draft.
Conceptually, any comments? Well, Lonnie, do you think this is?
Yeah, I just said I love it.
Thank
You love
And
it.
I appreciated the condensing, so there was a lot of
Yeah.
verbiage in the beginning. But I think it can work. Proving that whoever powers may be that's the better.
And or input or change, or there could be items that need to be added, deleted. That's completely up to the whole committee, the
How
chair.
do you want
So
to avoid doing line editing by committee? How do you want to get input? Can we send, just write up a few notes?
Sure, I could, any way you want. I mean, it would, at the tail end, it would be up to the chair or the committee as a whole to decide how they want to collect the information. Any suggestions are more than welcome.
Yeah,
No,
I think
I
this
don't
is
have the
great.
final
I
say.
think that, I think the preamble feels a little bit long to me, but it's also because we're looking at it on paper. You know, when you look at this like in a survey form,
Right.
it's never that.
And I deleted like much of it, because I'm telling you, I'm just copy pasting, moving.
Okay, well, why don't we read through it, and I know that, David is a bit of a wordsmith, so. And I know Richard's legal, and it's Richard and Robert's legal line, right? You can give a crack at this too. So if anyone is, do we have like, can you give some feedback on it,
Yeah.
David? And Rob, would you want to give any feedback on this? Okay. Yeah, I think if a couple of us just reviewed it and
Yeah.
give some feedback and let's just move this forward. I think this is a massive improvement. We need to streamline things. We're trying to desperately as everybody sees with our coding and sorting of information. So I think this is great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Keeping this going. All right. Next up is the French American School. Anyone here from FASTing? Does any, I know, Rob, yes,
Before we proceed. In the past, I was bringing copies of our spreadsheet. Last month, Dan created and brought, so I didn't do it this month. So did anybody bring with them their spreadsheet?
I did.
We all have access to it because it's linked
Oh,
it's linked
But
to
that's
the.
not what I'm
it's-
asking is, do we all have printed copies? Does anybody need a printed copy? They can print them here. That's what I'm asking.
no, I don't have a printed copy.
So even if you do try to look on the website, as I just tried to do, it's not, the link is saying it has expired, so maybe we have to look at that again.
Okay,
It's just,
And you're talking about the traffic commission test, a test list,
that's the spreadsheet.
yes.
So I have mine. Does mine have my comments and stuff?
I just made a
Yours
couple.
winner.
Mine's clean except for the math.
So in the past, we've had somebody make copies here. They have a machine. Maybe Jerry can make copies for those of that need. I think it's better to have a printed copy than to sort through on a screen. I think it makes it a lot simpler. So can somebody make copies of our spreadsheet based on how many?
How many needed? I'll do it right now.
Okay.
I'm a liaison.
People would like one.
Laura, you said
I-
yours is the cleanest?
Richard and I can share it.
Or if anybody doesn't mind, Robert's is clip notes.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I'll go back.
How many copies do we need?
Who needs a copy?
Show of hands real
Show of
quick.
hands.
This honestly.
I'm fine.
Ryan,
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Ladies, gentlemen, 3.
Yep.
3 copies. Okay, 3 copies.
Thank you.
all right. So while we're sorting that out, nobody's here from FASNY. Do you have any comments you want to make? No.
I don't know what the proposal was, but I was told by the survey went up to take the time earlier for no parking, so the buses would hopefully park there, pick up the kids. I don't know the timeframes, so.
Are you from the French American School?
No. Tennis.com, police department.
So, they talked to Lieutenant Falcone about it.
Both the bus stop and the stop sign.
They talked about the stop sign?
He told me about, they wanted to make the times no parking zones a little earlier, because what they're finding out is the residents parking there, and it's not adequate time for the buses to be parked and pick up the kids. That could go.
So did they give us the times on that?
Yeah,
Get in the
sure.
letter,
No parking from 7, they want no parking 7 AM to 8 PM and 2:30 PM to 4 PM.
7 a.m. to what?
7 to
2:30.
8 PM?
7 AM to 8 PM.
What
And-
days?
AM.
Oh,
Monday, school days, Monday through Friday?
School days. And 2:30 PM to 4 PM.
Okay,
Just for clarity, which French American site? On the Post Road
The
or?
one at 145 New Street.
that's the lower school.
can we do a motion?
But there were 2 items also, wasn't the second item?
Well, going to deal
Stop
one at a
sign.
time.
Stop signs.
Going to deal with the bus stop. first.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to, at the request of the French American School, to change the signage at the bus stop on Underhill Avenue. That it be changed to, quote, no parking 7 AM to 8 PM / 2:30 PM to 4:30 PM, end of quote.
That doesn't make sense. So you said 7 AM to 8 PM and then a smaller.
7 to 8
I'm
AM.
sorry, I
It's just
misspoke.
Okay,
hours.
fine.
It's 7 AM to 8 AM in the
Okay.
morning, and the afternoon, 2:30 PM to 4 PM.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, so that's half of it. Is there another piece to that?
Yeah, so they requested a new stop sign on Underhill at New Street.
Underhill is New Street.
Underhill on Underhill at New Street.
Well, since nobody's here from the BASNY, I think that it requires some discussion, right? You know that area well.
I have to go and look at it, but I could only imagine that with the cross, it's a thoroughfare.
So
It's through
let's,
traffic.
yeah, should we go ahead and push that? out?
Yeah, that's exactly, this is the problematic area. See, you can't see it. You can't see it, but 2 months ago, this is the spot that we pulled away. That one
Before you
spot?
go any further, can we ask somebody if they could, as Dan puts
So-
the image on the
Right,
screen?
I'm, because we have nobody
Is there
here from
somebody here?
BASNY, because we have nobody here from BASNY right now to discuss this with us, we're moving this to next month, okay? And we have residents that have shown up,
Right.
sorry. Because Dan's not here.
Let me,
Malani?
I'm just pausing, just so I can gather my words. If there is nobody here from, or if nobody has definite information about the rest of what's on the agenda about the French American School, then yeah, move forward. If, Jerry, do you have any information about the French American?
Nope,
Then move forward.
none at all.
Can you bring up map, the map
And
question?
Rob, yes,
Sure.
Rob is
Okay.
asking for map
The locations
questions.
as we discussed them.
Google Maps,
Right,
map
we're not-
quest. Are you also, Rob, are you also asking for the list to be brought up as well, or just map, or just Google Maps?
What is it new, what, new?
Just put it over for a month. It's not gonna be discussed because there's no one here and they're only asking that it be put over. They're not saying it's approved,
this
denied.
particular location. There are other locations which
No,
we,
for
okay,
this.
you don't want to do it? Fine.
No, it's not, it's not that anybody doesn't wanna do it. It's just there's no one here to support the proposition.
I can't find it, but it's in the email clearly from the French American president of the school.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
described it very specifically. I just can't find it, but it was clear cut if anyone saw it. It is,
Yeah.
it
It's
is
an email.
possible to discuss
It's
it
an
because you
email.
can't, I mean, going forward, we're not gonna always have.
Yeah.
Someone,
For the notes,
that's just
tell me your name.
Michael Starr with one.
Okay, again, Mr. Star with one R. But my suggestion is that we just simply not dismiss this as a proposition. Just put it over for a month.
I heard that, that's fine, I'm just bringing it up.
Okay.
That
Whatever.
email that I read, which I can't find, 'cause I don't have it. Wi-Fi is very specific.
Yeah, but we don't have the email and we don't have
Yeah,
the people.
so we're gonna push that, we're gonna push the bus, we did half of it, the bus stop, was made a motion, and it can, there's a recommendation made. The stop sign we will, postpone.
Ryan,
Right.
I have a, I'm sorry, I have a question. Mr. Starr,
Yes.
where, do you know if that email came from the, who it came from?
Yeah, it came from Elena. It was Elena had an attached.
Gianni, who's the head of
I
the
just need the
school.
name and. I just need
No,
the
so
number.
if you want, you're looking to find it.
How
Yes.
much?
It's
Six.
under Elena about within the last week or two.
Elena.
Right, she
Yeah.
forwarded.
She couldn't attach.
Thank
I
you.
just can't.
Yeah.
So it's specific, it's, I don't know, so explanatory. but I thought-
Alana Stone? Is it from Alana Stone?
Elena, Elena,
Yeah.
Okay.
who works with Sally.
So.
Oh,
Um,
Elena-
Elena
Elena,
DeConzo,
sorry.
okay. I'm just for my own,
All right,
but I think, David.
Oh, I think for future meetings for new business, if there are emails like that that are associated with a new proposal, we should be ready with them.
I agree. This is
and
the-
usually that is the case, but Dan does that, and Dan was out today.
But you, sometimes the emails are attached to the agenda as well.
Yeah.
So my experience, I mean, I feel unprepared because I can't find it, but it's like, when there's emails that are important, we're supposed to be well versed in it. Now it's that.
Yes, I should have brought it too, so.
Not right, so I'm saying that if it's there and we saw it, there would be enough information.
Okay,
you know.
let's move forward.
Okay.
All right, we have,
That was good.
She actually, Leilani actually found it.
Right.
Mike, I'm gonna postpone you for a few minutes.
Oh, okay.
Because we have our, friends from Union Avenue. Our friends from Union Avenue. So I'm switching over, real quick to clear some of, I made you guys sit through a whole meeting last time. Are you also from Union now? Okay, and you as well?
Yes.
Union, 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 you're not. All right, you're,
Thank you.
On Washington Street, Lloyd, Queens Road, Grand Street, number 7.
right,
Old
yes,
business.
okay. All right, so, Dan is not here today, and I think, that's one of the reasons why I'm advancing you guys in this process. We got no feedback from Dan in the last, since we last met. And I'm sure Dan was gonna provide us with an update today. Yeah, Dan is not here.
I sent you some information.
Yes. Keep going, I'm sorry.
Okay, I thought you had some nugget of knowledge. down
Oh,
there.
yes, I didn't know, I just was waiting, I was listening to that and then I was.
Because
I
Dan,
wanna
because
let you
Dan usually
finish.
updates us on these types of things, and we do not have an update today.
So, for Union Avenue,
That's right.
so
Do you have information for us?
hold
Lauren?
on, let me go through my emails. There's so many
Once I'm
emails.
done, ask your question.
We have asked the engineer to review, some of the prior traffic calming measures on Union Avenue and recommend some in advance. So the engineer is looking into it to find out, again, what is the best method to figure out how to calm the traffic down. But that is where we're at right now. Hopefully in the next time we meet, in the next month, we'll have more information. And if it is stop signs, then we'll put up stop signs. If it is, like people were mentioning the last meeting, the lines from the end of Union going on to Tompkins, if it needs to be moved up, whatever the engineer suggests, that's what we will follow through with. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely. I just going, I don't speak for everybody, but I just want to two things. One is, I don't know if it's just like one thing or the other, you know what I mean? So hopefully the engineer, I don't know who speaks and communicates with the engineer is able to sort of consider that it's sort of like a dual
Multi
subject. Yeah,
approach.
actually, that corner of it, it's also
Right.
the mid block.
And since then, I've tried to drive down the street as many times as I can, just so that I can say, okay, and I practice stopping and at certain ends of the street, just to make sure, okay, is this gonna work? Does this work? And I even myself are trying to look at different approaches, but the engineers who do work with us do try to look at it in multiple ways. So I am assured that they will do that.
Leilani, I can give you a little information. So everyone knows who lives there that the road needs to be paved. So we have it on the paving schedule. Once we have it on the paving schedule, we don't do any improvements on painting, crosswalks or lines until we pave it. The problem with Union will be, once we pave it, people will go faster, right? Because right now it's a natural thing to slow down. So the traffic engineer will take the study. There's some things that they've already done, but the traffic engineer will take the study from the stuff that they've done already, the improvements they've done already, from Tompkins all the way to Halsted Avenue. Okay, it'll be the full length. There are several methods. It could be stop signs, it could be children at play, slow signs, it could be. What I think he's gonna wanna do, Leilani, is he's probably gonna wanna do a little resident meeting out on Union Avenue. So.
They will love that.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my office and get a couple of cards, right? And then you guys will email me, I'll create that list for Matt Carmody, who's our traffic engineer. And then once he sets up that walking assessment that he wants to do, it's not an official, we do other walking assessments, it's a little bit more elaborate. This one's a straight run, but it'll be stuff that, or items that he's already completed or has suggested and we've implemented, and other items that he's already potentially recommended. Once he's out there, it's not a full traffic plan, it's just some stuff that we're talking about, okay? Potential stuff that we're talking about. But when you meet this individual, you'll realize that all he knows is traffic, so there's no problem there. So I'll give out my cards, right? I'm just gonna get them. I'll give out my cards, you'll contact me, and as soon as the weather breaks and we're in good shape, we'll have that, because the traffic calming methods and initiatives that we have to put in there have to be done with an engineering assessment. If not, if there's an accident and we just did it because we had some suggestions from residents, we're at fault. If we don't put the right signs based on the municipal traffic code device manual, we're in trouble for that too as well. So we have to go with the traffic engineer. There's a few things that I could recommend to him that I'd want to do. It's what we call a fog line. It is a line in the street on the parking side of the street that visually, as you drive down, will slow you down because it makes the road look narrower, right? Of course, there's cars there, but the road will look narrow. Perception will be that the road is narrow. That slows people down. Signs throughout the street. And then what we can also do is from time to time, periodically, put one of those speed signs that the police department has, which hang on the pole, right? So we bolt it onto the pole, we leave it there for a couple of months, we gather information from there, and then we assess that information. What that does is, of course, it flashes when you're going over the speed limit, but what it does is it also tells us what the average speed is, okay? So that when you come back to us next time and say, people are going way too fast, I can demonstrate to you that for a 60-day period, the average speed was 18 miles an hour. Right? Unrealistic, but in Laura's neighborhood on Grand Street, that's exactly what happened, right? Everyone thought that everyone was racing as a cut through down Grand Street. That wasn't the case. We have evidence to show that people go an average of 18 miles an hour down that street, which seems pretty reasonable. It seems pretty reasonable. So that's what those are the things that we try to do to deal with these kinds of things.
Is that what you're putting on the pole? Is that does that become a permit?
No, we move it.
Okay, well, because I'm sure that affects the speed of the traffic when somebody sees
True.
that they're being, okay, so, I mean, there's a relationship there between those two things.
But in our world, we're changing behavior. We're trying to change behavior.
I understand that,
yeah.
and we're okay with that,
Yeah.
except for the fact that people did, I mean, if that's the best we can do, it's the best we can do, but people were hoping for something a little less. Our street's kind of industrial because of all the because of all the cars and the speed at which people are going and the traffic, level of traffic. So we were hoping to not have something on the pole, but but you had indicated at meetings, it was at least 2 or 3 ago, just in terms of managing expectations. At what rate can we expect these things to happen? Because that was mentioned to us that there would be some kind of device to actually monitor the rate of speed. I don't know, 3 months ago. So just in terms.
That wasn't installed. You didn't see it up,
Correct.
right? So I don't know if you guys got the request, but we need to put the traffic trailer there for a period of time. It's mid-block on Union. So that'll get done right away. All right, it's rate of speed that we do things around here is different when you ask different people. So that'll get done right away.
Okay, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mentioned that at the.
Rich, in the past, we've had, this is the third meeting I've sat through where Union Avenues come up. I mean, there may have been more. This gentleman reported in the first meeting, the second meeting, and if we give him time, he's gonna report it again today about the dangers, the hazards of crossing the Tompkins Avenue end of Union with cars coming around the corners.
Because of the blind spot with the hedges?
Yeah,
Well,
with the
it's-
hedges.
it's
So
a-
my question only was, has there been any follow-up with the property owners nearby to reduce the size of their hedges? And, you know, to update that aspect of this?
I don't know if there has, I
Well,
can
I'm
find
just,
out, but
then if we don't know the answer, I would just ask that
we do that.
someone could report back to us.
Yeah, just a quick note to that, beyond just the hedges, is that big round, long curved striped out area that people just drive over and as they're coming towards that bridge, they see the bridge closed sign, and so some of them are making an immediate.
And I understand that part, right? That's,
And
that's,
this is why we need to get the engineer out there.
Just-
And I
Right,
think
that's
that, I
right.
think that all of us novices have kind of kicked this thing around quite a lot at this point.
and the engineer has recommended and we have implemented some striping on Tompkins. Right, because there was a cut in the line in the asphalt that kind of steered people
Significant.
towards, right?
Significant.
So we've done that, but we've never focused on, since I've been here for 4 years, we've never focused on.
I mean, it kind of backfired when the bridge went out, right? Because you
Yeah.
put those lines there because when you're coming down Tompkins, there's a big switch over when you pass Union in terms of the way the road goes.
Right.
So in order to kind of guide people that way, as opposed to ending up, very close to the sidewalk, you put those lines. But now that the bridge is out, to Craig's point, they're coming down, cutting a wide curve and coming up Halsted, which is generally on the wrong side of the road, is the way that they're coming up by abiding by those lines.
Because of the bridge.
And we
2 meetings
understand-
behind this, I think Mr. Bellata was in here and he had suggested the possibility of putting sisters there to gear from actually going over the painted lines. Can-
Rubber delineator.
Yeah, can they be implemented to possibly re-gauge?
So I would say
Traffic.
yes, if Matt recommends that.
The agreed.
If we put them in, they cause damage, who told you to put this in? I need the engineer's backing on that kind of
Understood.
stuff. Yeah, I need the engineer's backing.
One last question, you indicated, when do you think this paving is gonna be done? Or is that's not your department? That's
Everything.
everything's your department.
So September, October of this year.
Okay, so the engineering work you're saying is gonna happen, you said pre and then post?
The engineering work is gonna start in March.
Okay,
The assessment's gonna start in March,
okay,
so that I can implement those suggestions after we pave the road.
after you gave the road,
Right.
okay.
One of the things that another resident who couldn't make tonight, Seamus, brought up was
Or Seamus?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, he is a new resident, he's my next door neighbor. Is that all the other streets that run parallel, Melbourne, Barry, I'm sorry, I've just.
All the streets, all the
Yeah.
streets going up to.
Yeah, they,
Harrison.
they all have stop signs
Anyway.
at the midways. And then there was a point made that, that ours was different because it's a T or something. And Seamus, who wrote the email that went out to you guys, I don't know if everyone got it, just sort of counteracts, has a little bit of, if you want to just take a look at that email, I think it would be helpful
I will.
because,
If I got it, I'll take a look. at it.
Yeah,
I'll look at it.
and I can forward it to you if need
Right.
be, but it sort of specifies that that's not the case as it relates to the other streets and ours. So I think we're just trying to wrap our head around. We understand stop signs don't slow, they're not supposed to be used to slow speed. But I think especially with what you said with paving, and I think that midway stop sign would be a major relief to some of the.
So when we meet with the consultant, we can talk about that at that location and we
Great.
can explain to you some of the issues that may or may not have come up in the past doing something like that. But you're talking about the T on the riverside, whatever that road is.
Yes,
You're saying this is gonna happen in March. The assessment will start.
Yeah, March.
This is
And
March.
how will we hear about it? We'll be getting, we're sending you the email. You're gonna give us the card.
And I'm calling you when we do the walking
Okay,
assessment.
all right, because
Yeah,
Jocelyn.
so
has
before the
most
end,
of
before the
emails.
end of the month, we'll get together. I'll get Matt, we'll get together, and we'll do the walk. As long as it's not like today. That's all.
One question that was posed was, this is March.
Yeah.
And the assessment will start in March,
Yeah, the walking assessment will start in March,
end of March or that.
end of March.
Okay.
We're at the middle.
Oh, I got it.
I'm shooting for the
Right.
27th right now.
Okay,
And would it
pass
generally,
along.
and that generally occurs sometime during the day?
I can make it in the evening,
Okay.
because we got light now in the evening, so I can make it in the evening, 6-ish, that's okay. We can talk about that online, all right? And I just mentioned this, I wanted you guys not to be here the whole meeting.
I appreciate that.
Can, and they, if there, just in case we don't miss anybody's email, can you guys write down your information on a sheet of paper? And so that we can
Yeah, absolutely.
file it and give it, please to Courtney.
Who's got line paper? All I have is these forms.
I got one, I have it.
Here.
Who got one?
There you go.
Oh, we got it.
That's the part.
Thank you very much. All right.
Here for the sake of your Debbie's, and I kept looking at you.
Thanks, Robert. Okay, we have one more resident here. Michael,
Tim O'Connor,
Tim,
number 7.
You wanna,
all right,
I feel
Tim.
bad that
All
my back
business.
is to you.
Where,
Let me move out.
Down here.
Let's move up, so
the
everybody
old,
gets.
the old White Plains Road and traffic safety.
Yes, sir, that's it, exactly.
All right, we, similarly, I don't think Dan's here, so I don't know how much of an update. Well, Lonnie, do you have any information on the old White Plains Road or Rob? Have you seen anything come across? I mean, not having Dan here, Rob proves to be an excellent fill-in.
Yes, indeed.
But you know, we're a little hobbled at the moment without having Dan.
Oh, wait, Plank Road.
Grant Street.
And Grant, no, I just, no,
You guys.
Okay.
Council in Rockland. Sorry, I don't have an update on that.
All right.
Yeah.
But we will see you on the block.
All right.
Yeah, get back to him and just make
Go ahead.
sure you have everybody's contact info.
Yeah, we got it right here.
Yeah, I will put
Yeah,
it
so
in.
there may
Yeah,
be
next-
people not here.
Hopefully we'll have a better
Like,
month.
Yeah, we'll be sure to forward.
Good.
Yeah.
We'll do that. You guys think everything's
Well, the good thing is that Robert
Yeah.
is here.
Mr. Latimer, would you like to sit down in the back over here?
Just out there to see if the county had to do anything.
We appreciate
My grocery list while I'm passing through.
You know, I'm sure
Like
that there's
paving,
some-
sidewalk.
Actually, on Mamaroneck Avenue, as you approach where they did all the bridge work.
Yes.
Last meeting, we spoke about they didn't put the lights and stuff back up for the curb and cars were getting onto 95 from the left lane. The county did put up one
Coming
sign.
south of Mamaroneck Avenue, and it's the right lane that put you up on it.
Right.
Yes.
They did put one sign, but it's not enough.
And it's not well lit as what it was before.
It needs to be more clear that the right lane is the only lane to go to 95.
When I drive it, I do by automatic pilot.
I know.
Really look.
But I guess it's a lot of people like coming off the hutch or go through
Right,
that.
And
Yeah,
I have.
Let's stop by and find out if you have anything you put on a grocery list.
Well, you want to have a seat? We have a seat for you.
If you have a lot of issues, yes.
Yes.
And the
If not, I'm
timing,
gonna pick up some
timing of
takeout
the light,
You're on the way.
Ryan, how about the timing of the light on Van Rance and Center where the young man was hit by a vehicle. The timing of that light has still not been corrected. It's a county. It's a county.
Yeah, you know, we had a really, fatal accident, there on, Mamaroneck and Van,
Van Rance.
Van
It's
Rance.
Van Rance and
and that was last summer.
last summer.
And,
2 years ago.
yeah, two summer, yeah, yeah, it's a year and a half ago, right? And it seems to me that this is an area where people cross. I take my kids to school that way, and I see people cross there all the time. There's not a good way to do it. And that timing right there is, you're absolutely right. I was there again yet Friday, and you know, the whole movement of everybody through that intersection is incredibly complex. And I wish something could be done, that whole, as it leads into Old White Plains Road, that intersection right
Right,
there.
yeah, with the triangular.
Right.
That there is. And Rance is a little further.
By Columbus Park.
Yes, that's
And it's the light from Waverly and Van Rance, so you have cars making a left and a right onto Mamaroneck Avenue at the same time.
Has the village made a recommendation of what you think should happen, or does it need to be looked at by village and county transportation people to figure out what should happen?
We moved the crosswalk.
Yeah.
Which helps when people use the crosswalk to cross. That was just done after county paved the Mamaroneck Avenue.
But I don't know how the
timing.
timing, I don't know how that's been addressed.
Is off.
Do you think if the timing of the light change that it would help?
Yeah, to an extent. I mean,
The
that's-
way this is gonna exit is, you're gonna send me an email that's gonna specify what you want through the village, but I'm just trying to understand what you, how you see it.
if the way it is, if you're on Waverly Avenue approaching Mamaroneck Avenue and you're on Van Rance.
Right.
Those vehicles are at the same time making a left
So if I make a
And
left
right.
out of Waverly,
at the same
if I
rate
make
of speed.
when I make a left coming out of Waverly, Van Rance, which is not exactly flush,
Correct.
also makes a left.
Correct,
they're opposed
makes
to
it
each other.
right.
And they go right into your
And
path
you're
of
making,
traffic.
so
Go the same. Yeah.
you're going at the same, the
Correct.
timing is at the
So
same
it should be
time.
a three-way light, is that what you're thinking? That you give
It's still,
Waverly and then you give Van Rance separate?
it's actually a four-way light.
Or a protected pedestrian only crossing.
Yeah, because
Okay,
that
that's
still
fair
is
enough.
not, that still is not available. Like,
Yeah.
there's not just when the pedestrians are not able to just cross on their own at their own time. If they're crossing and the cars are going
They're
all at the
dodging.
same time.
And that's a standard problem everywhere,
Yeah.
because every intersection, there's only a handful, like the White Plains is a handful, pedestrian only,
Mhm.
which freezes everybody. That's not the common practice in almost every traffic light. But recommend what you want to recommend, then I'll have our traffic engineer contact Jerry. And you guys go look at it together and price out what the fix is.
I mean, in light of, you know, we often talk about traffic and we want to know, data. I think we have a really powerful data point that somebody in our community lost their life there. You know, I think if we're gonna put a protected, a protected cross for pedestrians, that's where it needs to go. I see parents and kids crossing that every single day. I see workers, I see everybody crosses there. And we've talked about what we needed to do. It's an anchor point for our community right there. We've talked about doing everything from, you know, some type of traffic circle there to rethinking, reimagining that space is a really vital part of our village.
Well, I think the bottom line is if you have to look at, we talk about traffic circle, now again, you move in a further direction. If there is a village agreed upon recommendation of what to do, that's one thing. If there is we want to take a look at it and the county works side by side with the village, takes a look at it, looks at these different options, comes back to you guys, talks to the police, does all the different due diligence, that's the second option. From my standpoint, I'm not averse to spending money to fix a problem. I just want to be sure that you've thought it through, because many times, I don't mean to demean the life that's been lost. Many times the life will be lost, something will happen, you must do something. And then the specifics of what happened to that person that day doesn't necessarily get fixed by what you're planning to do. So make sure you know what you're doing is going to work as best as you can. And we understand individuals. So that's all I'm saying, because at some point in time, this turns into a $500,000 project. And, you know, we've got to feel confident that it's going to produce a positive result.
That's right.
That's all.
Agreed.
So Jerry, I'll leave it up to you. I can go to you, Grecian, and say, get Kevin Roseman down here.
Yep.
But I'd like to bring him down once to look at everything once.
Yep.
So you go like a five thing with grocery list of what you just talked about on the entrance ramp to 95. That's one, this is two, there's a 3 and a 4. And I was facetious when I said it's stuff. I only have a couple of minutes, but I knew your meeting and I figured, well, I might as well get my grocery list. And I'm gonna call Catherine Parker so she knows what came out of this. So we're on the same page. And then if we can figure out how to do whatever these things are, we'll do.
Sure. We appreciate it very much, Rob.
Hi, George.
Hey, long time no see.
So we created a spreadsheet that we're dealing with over 100 locations throughout the village that are either traffic issues or parking issues. And
Gotta keep this.
and 5 of them, we have questions about whether they're being handled by the county.
Okay.
So I'm going to just quickly run through them. One of them is the popular Walters that has been on our traffic commission agenda for over 2 years. And it's indicated that we may be waiting for the county to address that location. Are you familiar with anything that's going on?
I don't know the status of it. I thought that there was dialogue on that intersection for us.
So,
I don't recall what the status is.
okay.
So I'll put it down on my list.
And the others are 4 locations on Mamaroneck Avenue, at Waverly, Mamaroneck
Is
Avenue.
Waverly this, what we just talked about?
Yes.
Waverly Van
Yeah,
Ness,
that's, yeah,
all right.
that's where that accident happened. Mamaroneck Avenue and Hoyt by the train station, and this whole area, and Mamaroneck and Halsted. And Mamaroneck,
Write them down.
oh, I'm sorry.
Mamaroneck Avenue and Hoyt.
By the
And I
train.
drive all these places all the time, so I'm familiar. We're on Halsted and
Yeah, no,
Mamaroneck,
Dan
yeah.
told us that was a big.
I don't know if we're county once you get under the bridge. I
Well,
don't know.
so this is
I
what,
know we're county on the curve and then all the way up to the heights.
Dan
I'm not
applied,
sure. if we're
Dan
county.
applied for a grant
right,
for that.
that whole section.
By
along the
Smashburger,
Mamaroneck
like.
Was there a 5th one?
Mamaroneck Avenue Depot Plaza.
Oh,
So just to follow up what Tina said, Dan had told us that there was a grant that the county was working on. So we're kind of stymied on whether there's anything that we need to do. And so the question is this something that the county is gonna
I'll
develop
ask,
so we don't have to
as
deal with
as
it?
an outgrowth of this, I will reach out to our DPW commissioner and I'll say these 5, I'm gonna throw in the I-95 entrance. These,
That's
these,
another one.
right, so I've got these 5 here. What was
Oh.
the 5th one?
It's the I-95 exit.
Depot.
It's the I-95 exit. That was
Exit.
the problem.
I
Oh,
thought it was
well,
the
that's-
entrance
that was
ramp
another-
as you're going around, I thought I understood.
That was another one. So when you come off, when you're coming off from 95 south, going towards Mamaroneck,
But
when you come down that loop, the cars don't stop and there are children crossing there all the time
Where don't they stop?
at the stop sign coming off.
2
the
stop
exit.
signs, they don't stop.
Yeah.
But also the roadway is uneven, so it's even dangerous to walk across it because there's like a huge bump
Huge
and
bump.
hole and.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I wanna focus on things where there's a structural improvement that can do the difference. We
But
have a
that's not the
stop sign
county,
there.
that's the, I
That's
think,
the way it's
Stop sign there,
Right.
the evenness of the road.
Yeah.
that's
No,
not,
that's
but that's
different
not
from
you anyway,
Danvers.
that's the.
That's the
the
T-way.
But
throughway.
it's the authority up to them.
Up to that point to the stop sign.
I'll ask about these issues and I'll ask for our staff people to talk to the village staff. And then I assume you'll brief the commission as to what the specifics are. And then if there are specific projects that fix these things, then some of them may be easier than others, but we'll find out. The Walters Crosswalk, I have heard a discussion about it. I have to tell you, when I represented the community as a county legislator, assemblyman and senator, I had a handful of communities.
Whole county.
And so I'm in a meeting like this in Peekskill, and they're saying, do you know where Washington Avenue meets Welcher? And I've been through there maybe 3 times in my life. I'm looking at it like I really don't. And so I have to try to grasp, where are we and all these different things. But I'll do this as a follow-up. And then I'm gonna go to the club and get my takeout.
Information, bon appetit. On Halsted and Mamaroneck Avenue, right at the bridge, we've applied for the Transportation, Housing and Urban Development Grant through Representative Bowman's office.
Is that part of the earmarks that just You
Yep.
just applied
So
for
it's
it?
a $2 million project we applied for.
Okay. Well, that would be good.
That would be good. But there is coordination that we have to do with
Yeah.
DPW and county, so. But yeah,
Well, those things are. In general, have you gotten response from the county when you called
Always.
them for things?
oh,
That's the most.
Kevin and I are on first name.
Mhm.
Her nanny, I have a nickname for her nanny. And so,
Not when you're gonna say all over the room.
yeah, no, I'm not gonna say that in the room here.
And right, also, Mr. County Executive,
Yes,
yes, we
Mr.
do,
Lorado.
we do get, how you doing? We do get the reply back because between our two meetings, the DPW supervisor for the county of Westchester did indicate a sign would be erected and Thursday or Friday of last week, the right lane in front of, don't hold me to it, 420 Mamaroneck Avenue in the Harrison,
Right.
town of Harrison's district, it says I-95 right lane only, I-95 to right lane. And then we had a resident last month approach us, and the fire department's 100% also with it, is a sign indicating how fast you're going into the curve.
Right.
And he also looked into that and he said, okay, there was an old sign that had flashing lights, slow down, dangerous curve. The new one that the county engineers put together is on order and back order like almost everything else, but it's in the works. It's not like it was forgotten about and just thrown in the trash, so.
Is what you're saying to me what was referenced a second ago?
But what Tina had referenced before about the sign indicating use the
So
right
you know
lane.
that it is on back, it is on order, it just hasn't been.
Yes, that hasn't, and the sign, the physical sign has been erected the middle of last week. It says I-95 use right lane.
Yep.
And that's coming into our village from Harrison.
Is that the only sign that's going?
That's
there?
well, no, it's the only one I see so far.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but do you know if anything else?
Dan only referred to is that
Because
Andrew,
it's just really small and it's like really far ahead, and then I feel like if there was a second one
asked
or a
county,
bigger one.
asked the county executive ladder now.
Well, we're gonna put the wheels in motion to look at these things. And then when the two professionals go out there and they come back with recommendations, I assume you'll get to look at the recommendations and that's what you're saying we'd like this. we'd like that.
Thank you, county executive.
I know I bumped you off your agenda, but we really do want to try to, do these things.
It was a welcome bump. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Len. You guys have a nice
Thank you,
night.
stop.
Thank you.
sir. Jerry, I'll talk to you soon.
You're up, Tim. Maybe Jerry has an update, but we don't know.
Jerry, you have an update on White Plains Road and, I'm sorry if I'm going out of order, but you had asked him before. Is that okay?
That's, yes, absolutely.
Okay, do you have an update on White Plains Road, the truck safety, truck traffic and safety, I believe it's about, how the trucks coming off of the ramp coming down and, the many different pivot turns that every, and I literally have been seeing everything since we've had our last meeting.
Yeah.
For some reason, you just become more aware when you're
Yeah,
aware.
I'm more aware.
I don't have enough. room.
Okay,
I can give an update. Dan reported last month, and I don't think we have any update, but this is what he said. Dan reported that Matt Carvey was conducting a traffic and pedestrian safety study for this area, which covered all the things that you talked about. And Dan said he will follow up on the status of the study and will provide the traffic commission with a copy when the study is completed. So I'm assuming the study is not completed.
Right, but the study encompassed a lot of other areas around Mamaroneck. So my issue is strictly Washingtonville at White Plains Road and Grand Street.
Yeah, that's.
I
what he
think
was
they're
talking about.
separate, though. He's not doing all the studies together, because he was also gonna go to Rockland and do other, but it was separate.
Well, I honestly, I don't know what the studies encompass. I don't know what Matt was looking at. I don't know what the attributes are or the variables that were into that study. I don't even know. But all I'm bringing out is the issues with the traffic risk and the pedestrian area in that area.
That's why it'd be helpful if we could have some dialogue with Matt Carmody
Okay.
to make sure he understands what we believe is important
Right.
to look at.
And so on February 3rd, I sent this commission a lengthy email with an attachment as far as a map, a Google map with a legend. And inside this email, it tells you exactly what the red arrows are, the aqua arrows are, what the troubles, spots are and such. And it's a 2-page readout. It's kind of it's very detailed and granular. And so it tells you exactly what the issues are. So I would just ask the board just to, this committee, just to look at that, and maybe you could do a site survey, you could go out there, meet me out there, whenever, do a walkthrough, take some pictures.
Robert, you know the area that he's referring to. It's one of those pivot points. It's messy.
Grand?
Yeah, it's on
Yeah,
Plains Road and Grand, right at the bridge there, where the trucks are coming down from
I'm sorry, Jerry. I'm sorry.
Scarsdale, coming down from the town, coming out to make the hairpin turn.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that's part of the issue.
It's a problematic situation. We could start piecemealing Washingtonville, but what Tim is really focusing on is when you're coming up around that bend onto Old White Plains Road, it's pushing you out again to oncoming traffic. You have an ill-used crosswalk coupled with, double parked vehicles and cars during the course of the day on top, exactly.
Low hanging.
I don't think there's any debate that there's a problem there. We just haven't had the chance because we don't have the resources, Jerry, to have the professionals look at it. I know there's a bunch of issues that we're looking at right now, but getting someone that has the expertise in that area to look at it would be helpful.
Right, and Mr. Chair, this is not, something that you're gonna kind of look at and determine one shot. This is gonna be over several weeks, several months. This is a big roll to do. So whenever you guys come around to phase 1, phase 2, however you guys want to roll it out, we're patient. It's been like that for the last 50 years. I pray to God that nobody gets hit.
Yeah.
That's all we're looking for. That's it. But yeah, this is not gonna be an easy fix. So, we're all patient, so maybe we'll get to this next month or however you guys want to do it, but I'll just ask to keep it in the back burner on the summer.
Okay, certainly.
Does the commission have the walking assessment from Old White Plains Road? We did a walking assessment when Shannon was the chair.
It's on the
website.
It's on the website, but I doubt anybody.
That was all around the Mamaroneck Avenue School, but
Yeah.
did it go that far? I don't think it went
it
that
did.
far.
No, we did others, Tina.
The
There was one over
walking,
there.
there's Oriental walking assessment, there's the Mamaroneck Avenue
The other one
walking
was on
assessment,
Homestead Avenue. It was on
and there's a
Mamaroneck.
Holstead Avenue, North Barry walking assessment. Those are the only ones that are on the website, but let me look
There was a
into.
specific traffic study for Washingtonville from 2016.
I'll get you the walking assessment.
I think it's coupled too with
And when was that done? 3 p.m.
commercial vehicles, you have industry that is overgrown, you have double parking, you have a few things happening.
I can't think of a more confusing and terrible intersection than
Exactly, it's almost like you have to strip it down and like.
the
you know,
first time I took a right from
recycle.
Grand onto Old White Plains.
It kind of, though, the MAS walking assessment kind of features some part of it.
Right.
But I think it takes you to.
So let's do this. Let's all take a gander at that walking assessment. And I know Dan was, we communicate in a very different way with Dan and when he gets back to us. He gave us a little bit of information, which Robert reported, and that's on the spreadsheet. Let's keep moving though. We have Michael Smeets that joined us tonight.
Hey, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to chat with me. By the way, I don't know who's in charge of the open meeting side. Putting everything on YouTube is super helpful. Way better than the Village of Larchmont and the town of Mamaroneck. Like I can actually read transcripts, play it at double speed. So I had the opportunity to look at a meeting or two before I came here, which was super helpful. Congratulations. Real quick, anyone here biked in the last year? Just so I got a level set. 1, 2, 3. Anyone biked on Boston Post Road? All right, look at this, brave people. All right, so
Life insurance,
life insurance, exactly. I think it might be avoided.
biggest asset in my estate.
So I am here to talk about bike lanes and complete streets for Larchmont and Mamaroneck. This is the part where my sort of naivete meets the harsh reality, probably in this room. Who am I? Oh, I'm going to touch on these 1 or 2 minutes each. Grew up in Larchmont, graduated Merrimack High School, moved back to 2018. I've got 3 girls, which is the impetus for this project. I want them to be able to bike to school. My tagline is, I remember when Walgreens was a Blockbuster. I'm always there. So why I'm speaking to you. So I want to get your feedback. I'm not a traffic engineer. I don't have a lot of experience with the traffic in the traffic commission from the official side. So if at any point you're like, that doesn't make sense, that's wrong, let me know. I'm trying to absorb everything at a pretty rapid clip. Want to find any concerns. I don't know that much about Ride Next traffic situation, because I didn't grow up there. So if there's any information on that, helpful. And finally, and probably most importantly, I'm going to try and present to the village boards and the town boards and sort of by the summer. And I want to be able to say that, hey, you guys, it'd be great if you said, we want this too. We want to push forward and do a comprehensive bike plan. But I also say, hey, I talked to them and they didn't have any objections. And if you have objections, I'd love to chat with you. So that's what I'm trying to do here and why I'm here today. So why complete streets? I think everyone knows what complete streets are, right? Okay, cool. I'll fast forward through that. It's about transportation choice, drive to Costco, bike to school drop off, walk to a restaurant. You don't have to bike, but you can and you could feel safe doing it. I'm doing this because I want to focus on children. In 1969, more than half of kids walked or biked to school. I think it's probably higher in this area. Now that number is 6%. And the reason is people are scared of their kids getting hit on bikes and cars, on bikes, by cars, also walking. There's a ton of benefits to kids biking to school. It should be pretty obvious. One I really want to highlight is it really promotes independence and responsibility, something that when you're getting shuttled in a car everywhere, you don't really develop until one day you're walking in the city and something happens. Also reduces traffic. I think everyone knows the schools are a major source of traffic around here. Everyone here in theory supports complete streets, the state, the town, the village, Westchester County, everyone says they support complete streets. Why do I want to do a comprehensive bike lane study now? So the town and the village of Merrimack both are doing comprehensive studies. One outcome of that is that people want bike lanes. It's a frequent comment. The Inflation Reduction Act provides a ton of money. There's like a fire hose of money being pointed at this area. It's been a year, there's 4 years left. Congress could change, the county governments could change. This money might not be there in the future. It's here today. E-bikes are a new thing that have opened up biking to a lot of different people. My 73-year-old dad just got an e-bike and he bikes around the manor all the time. Also for families on bikes like you saw initially. So what we have, town's old, it's small, everything's close by. Here's a nice picture on the one ad. So this is audience participation. How long do you think it would take to walk to the Hommocks ice rink from here? Guesses?
From here?
Anyone?
23 minutes.
No, longer.
From
here?
From here, yeah.
20 minutes.
25.
It is 28 minutes
I was close.
per Google. How long does it take to drive?
No longer.
This is now like 7 or 8 o'clock last night.
Okay,
So
triple on it.
it is 7 minutes per Google. How long do you think it takes to bike?
9.
9 is the winner. You could do this analysis. You could do this analysis basically at any point to point in town. It's almost always the same time to bike somewhere as it is to drive. The town is small. It's very compact. It doesn't feel that way because you have to drive everywhere, but if you bike, you know that. Turning to kids specifically, the Hommocks is an example I like to cite. So it's located right in the middle of the district. This is a 15-minute walking radius from the Hommocks. You can see there's a couple of houses there. This is a 15-minute biking radius. It encompasses 95% of the households. Almost everyone could bike to school in 15 minutes. I assume Rhinebeck is the same. Key questions that I have thought about, and again, if you disagree with anything here, let me know because I want feedback. Is there space? Boss Post Road is 55 feet wide. You could fit, if you remove a travel lane, you could fit a bike lane on either side. If you remove a parking lane, you could fit a bike lane on either side or on one side. My rough math, Boss Post Road per New York State DOT has about 800-900 cars per direction at peak. That in theory, I think could fit in one bike lane, one travel lane with turning lane. Again, if there's any engineers, I'd love feedback on that.
That's the case in Rye.
There we go, in Rye, the real life proof point, so. Rye reduced Boston Post Road from 4 lanes to 2 to no traffic ill effect. That being said, Rye does have fewer cars on it than Boston Post Road. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Con Ed has been doing work on Boston Post Road, and they've shut down a northbound travel lane at different parts pretty consistently. And I haven't noticed any ill effects, and it was actually somewhat annoying because there's no newspaper reporting about it. I couldn't find a picture or an article because no one's been bothered by shutting down a northbound travel lane. Another one is Palmer. So this was actually studied when the town of Amerenik did their 2017 bike route study. I'm not going to speak for the engineer, but he basically said you could put bike lanes on if you take away some parking, not all the parking. Some streets are tougher. Weaver, for example, is extremely narrow. We could probably not put a bike lane on it today. That being said, we need to think about ways because it is a key segment that connects a lot of people to the schools. And you know what? Look at between those yellow lines. That's like 4 feet right there. Maybe a foot here, a foot there. I'm not suggesting that, but there's a little bit of wiggle room.
So Sharrows wouldn't work there?
What about Sharrows? Bike Sharrows are not enough. Sort of people have been pushing bike Sharrows as a compromise between a bike lane and doing nothing. Unfortunately, they don't really work. So there's studies that show that, but also common sense. Like when you bike around, when you drive around, who drives differently on a road that has a Sharrow on it?
Don't even pay attention.
No one does. Who bikes differently on a road that has a Sharrow on it? No one does.
A little bit, it
Well,
makes,
I mean,
makes the drivers
yeah.
aware that you can share the road.
It
doesn't
depends on
tell,
the
but it
driver,
does.
but
Yes.
then it
Depends on the
definitely
driver.
depends on the driver and how aware people are when they drive. Some people are not aware and some people are.
I also think it makes it a little confusing.
The Sharrows.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, it's okay, there's no clear line.
so,
Yeah.
Like,
I think it just means to share the road.
yeah, that's what it means in theory. This was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when Larchmont did the big study. Sharrows were sort of pushed as the idea.
Yeah.
10 years now today, I think people have realized they don't work. Sort of that's the consensus within the bicycle advocacy community, which obviously has their views and they're biased, but the data doesn't show that Sharrows work. So the key thing is perception of safety, and it sort of makes intuitive sense. So again, this is from the same town of Amerenik study from 2017. They did a survey, sort of the vast majority. So you've got strong and fearless for people like me 10 years ago, enthused and confident, or people like me now with kids. And then the vast majority of people fall in this interesting but concerned bucket. They'd like to bike, but they don't feel safe, and you really need to protect them. And those categories on the left sort of correspond to this chart on the right. I'm sorry, this slide's a little confusing, but it's called the level of traffic stress. Level 1 is what we have now, basically no bike lanes. Level 2 is like markings on the side of the road, a little white piece of paint. That sort of gets the enthused and confident people going. You really need level 2 and level 1 to get the majority of people on the road. That's a bike lane with a buffer. And the buffer can be parked cars, the buffer can be fencing, the buffer can be an additional 2 or 3 feet of paint. But that's what you need, according to Alta and a bunch of other research, to get people biking. To get kids biking, feel comfortable biking to school, biking to the hammocks.
When the city started to use the parked cars protected lanes, it really changed everything.
Yeah.
For the better.
Yes, there were, I talked to the traffic engineer that the 2017 town of Amerenik study, and his feedback was, I asked like, why isn't it the standard? Why didn't Larchmont do that with Larchmont Ave? And they said, 10 years ago, people weren't quite sure how it would interact. Now we've got the data. Using bike lanes as buffers is the way to do it. You do sacrifice 1 or 2 cars at each intersection because you need sight lines, because the cyclist is obscured in theory, in practice, if everyone's parked along the side of the road. So you do lose a bit of parking, but I think it contributes a great deal to safety. And you can see that in the city. It sounds like you've experienced that. I experienced that. The Federal Highway Administration sort of agrees with this. Sort of this is their chart. Boston Post Road, Palmer sort of fall in this area where speeds are high enough, volumes are high enough that you need separated bike lanes. Why not ride on the sidewalks? Biking on the sidewalks impacts pedestrians. So this is a quote from your meeting, I think in January. But I wanted to post this up here because it echoes comments I've seen 1,000 times about.
Richard,
Sounds like
sounds great.
I just don't want to become a pancake.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was. No, you are in the right. I agree with you. Oh,
We never know where you're gonna go.
It is against the law in certain places.
Actually, I should have
Depending
been
on what you
corrected.
do.
I don't want to become a crip.
Oh, okay. But this is pedestrians and bikes have different needs. They operate at different speeds. They shouldn't be on the same 4 or 5 feet of pavement. Second is, this is something my dad brought up to me. Sidewalks are not maintained to a biking standard. I think we all remember probably as kids biking on a sidewalk, but do it as an adult. It's extremely uncomfortable and it's unsafe. My dad will not bike on the sidewalk because he's 73 years old. Here's one example of a sidewalk on Boston Post Road, and they're not maintained to the level where you can bike at 10 or 15 miles an hour. Don't the state county own the roads? The answer is yes, they do. However, 2 projects show can be done. So there's the Route 9 project, which basically goes up the west side of Westchester County. Hastings, Uxbridge, Irvington, Terrytown, and Sleepy Hollow have come together. They're in the implementation stages. They're about 5 years ahead of us. Then there's also the Route 119 project, which goes east-west along 287, Terrytown, Elmsford, White Plains. They're at the same place. I talked to the guy that did both these projects. He said it is a heavy political lift, but it can be done. I think our elected representatives will support us. And you do need support at the federal level, at the county level, at the local level to make this happen, because New York State DOT and even Westchester County DOT have a mindset about how to do things. And unfortunately, you got to bring political pressure to get it done, to get them to change.
And you're speaking specifically about BPR, right?
So I'm talking about, this is about doing a comprehensive bike plan in which we would include Boston Post Road and Weaver, because some people say don't include those 2 streets because they're state and county owned. It's a pain in the butt. That being said, in my mind, they are critical to connecting everything.
There's only 2 ways to get from.
Yeah, so if you don't have those 2, why do it at all? How can it be paid for? So like I said at the top, there is like a fire hose of money pointing at this problem now, probably not forever. Safe Streets for All is what I would tap for the planning part of this. It's a $5 billion program. There's 4 years left. I spoke to that same engineer. He said he doesn't know anyone that was turned down. I think they didn't have enough applicants. Only 800 million was spent. White Plains got 400K to basically do what I'm recommending here. You need some matching, but we'll deal with that. Here are 8 million other grants we could use for the implementation stage at various other places. New Rochelle just raised $12 million for their link project. There's money to be had here from the federal level, from the state level, from the county level.
We got 4 million in tap money in traditional alternative from Holstead Avenue, from Mamaroneck Avenue to the Harrison line.
Yeah, there you go. Money to be had.
Design now. That's in design now.
Next steps. So where do we go from here? So right now I'm trying to meet with everyone. So I'm meeting with the traffic commissions, the committees, the environmental committees with commissions, the PTAs, the schools, because this is where the rubber hits the road. By this summer, I want to present to the boards and say, this is what we want a comprehensive bike plan for our 3 municipalities. So it will need to be a tri-municipal effort, which I know adds a significant degree of difficulty, but I think is necessary to make it work. And I want to say, hey, I talked to the Village of Mamaroneck Environmental Committee. They're on board. I talked to the Chatsworth PTA. They want this. And maybe the Village of Mamaroneck Traffic Commission could be on board too. Or at least say, I talked to them and they didn't have objections. And then in the fall, I want to apply for this grant and start the process 24 will be sort of doing the planning, community input, that sort of stuff. And then 25 plus will be implementation. So this is not like we're gonna take away bike. This is not gonna happen tomorrow. We're not taking away parking spots. We're not reducing travel lanes tomorrow. This is to study the idea. This is to get community input. This is to balance the desires of people, like. We need parking, we also need bike lanes. Let's start looking about how we can allocate the space effectively for everyone. Here's an Hemingway quote. I don't know if you can still quote Hemingway. And that's it. So this is the bike lanes they threw out from that 17 presentation. I would do it slightly differently, but you get the idea. That's that.
Thank you.
Feedback,
Thank
questions,
you,
comments,
Michael.
concerns?
Rod?
So I just have a couple, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a couple of comments. So
Yes.
we listened to Neil Desai, who prepared the comp plan for the Village of Mamaroneck.
Yep.
We have 3 pages of notes,
Sure.
recommendations that I'd like to give to you. but
Yeah,
I wanna-
absolutely.
I want to read 2 that I think are prominent.
Sure.
So he did a survey, and the survey showed that residents are interested in biking, but do not feel safe biking.
Sure.
Number 1. Number 2, the Village of America is walkable, but not pedestrian friendly.
Sure.
So I'd like to give all this to you.
Absolutely.
Do that, or want to give them a random copy? It's up to you.
Well, this is just relevant to you can give the whole thing, too, but that's specifically about the comp plan and biking and all the things you were talking about. And my thought is, we had no idea how to present our recommendations to the Board of Trustees. I would just assume have you, rather than hearing from different groups. You seem to be organized and can make a comprehensive recommendation. Let's let him go forward with what, the recommendation that we talk about, rather than us trying to figure out what exactly we're gonna recommend, how we get the message. That's my suggestion.
Do you think that it would be, well, I guess it wouldn't matter. It's fine.
And you get some.
I think it's a great idea.
I think, yeah.
I just wonder, are you on your own here? Are you with like transportation alternatives or?
I'm on my own, 2 months in.
That's why I joined this committee to get to be more correct with biking. It just seems like such a huge undertaking. So I'm in the Westchester Cycle Club and I've been these accidents, deaths, and I always go to Mamaroneck and it's gonna be a long haul.
Oh,
Most
for sure.
people wanna, if you're chauffeuring your kids to 2 different sporting events, not gonna take their kids until, but anyway. I think it's a great idea. Did you see the transportation? Did you see?
I read it, yeah, I was pretty impressed.
Okay, there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
But also, Boston Post, I think exactly what we need to do. We need to eliminate parking on one side or travel lanes. I don't know how the village is gonna go for that. That'd be rather to look over. push
Well,
back, but
I think-
that's a you need to do that.
So what,
And that's, I don't know, that's a big thing. But also Halsted Avenue is scary. I still like that Halsted Avenue myself. I don't even see how to get built.
Yeah.
Again, eliminate a whole section.
I think the post, I agree with you on the Post Road and Weaver Street. If you don't include those, you're just gonna do things piecemeal. But right now, there's a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit on the Boston Post Road. Near on the school sections.
Sure.
Either Palmer Avenue or the Boston Post Road. And yeah, I mean, you don't need to be a scientist to just look at the cars, blowing right through it. What's that?
Not enforced.
Well, start with the drivers. I mean, it's like the discussion point we had before. I don't think we have bad neighbors. I think that, they're just not following the rules that are right there in front of them.
sure,
And the rule says, this is school zone. This is where your kids are going to school. And we only are asking you for a short section of the Post Road to drive 25 miles an hour. And they won't stop. They won't slow down. They won't stay in that limit. Now-
Actually, I don't mean to interject. I think it's 20 miles an hour.
Oh,
when you
20,
get to
did I
school.
get it wrong?
It's
20.
25
20.
outside of it.
Yeah, 20 into school, but it's just, I'm in a hurry, it's like, it begins with I, on most of these things when you stop to people.
It's behavior modification. That's
Well, how do we,
Bike lanes contribute to this.
yeah, how do you make that into there? Because if they're not following the speed limits right now that are enforced with
police officer sitting there, I think it's Officer Spada. It sits there in a black car or a white car, and you don't have to be a genius to realize there's Officer Spano in the black car enforcing the speed limit, and they still go right by.
the cover a little bit.
You should be on the traffic court. No, I am a practicing attorney.
David?
So your immediate goal is to present the idea of applying for an IRA grant. Yes, to our board of trustees.
The board of all three.
Of all three. So sorry, this is a dumb question. So
No dumb.
that's Town of Marinac, Village of Marinac, and also Town of Rye where. we get-
Well, I would say village. So I was thinking. School district, so
That's the
Village
question
of
for.
Mamaroneck, Town of Mamaroneck, and Village of
Yeah,
Larchmont.
sorry. I'm David. Nice to meet you. So,
Village of Larchmont, basically where the school district is, that was.
yeah, I think my question is,
Right next out though.
is the Town of Rye a player in applying for the grant? I don't know what the Town of Rye does besides take my money.
Right, so the town of Rye really
Keep
has
that out
no
of the
area
mix.
that they manage, unlike the town of Mamaroneck where there's an unincorporated section.
Mhm.
So everything in the town of Rye in the village of Mamaroneck overlay is within the responsibility, our responsibility as well as the state and,
I just want to make sure that sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't catch your first name.
Oh, Mike.
Okay, I didn't know whether you were
Yeah.
missing out on the opportunity to present to the town
Right,
of
so
Rye too.
No, I'm happy to incorporate Rhinebeck schools in this idea. I just not familiar with
Yeah,
how.
I'd be happy to give you a little biking tour. of
Sure,
Rhinebeck.
absolutely.
So,
Show for my e-bike.
Tina,
which is like a tale of two cities, like most of it's lovely for biking and then you have
Yeah, it's cross
Halsted and
Yeah.
VPR.
right.
where
So
does
Mike,
this intersect?
so Mike's coming to our Safe Routes to School meeting on Thursday also. I already.
She
had
gets to see
spoken
the presentation like a third time.
Oh, good, okay. So I guess at this point, you're really looking for some level of support and statement of collaboration,
Yes.
okay?
Can I ask a question maybe to Jerry? Is this something that, is it too late to try to incorporate this into the Halsted Avenue grant?
No, if we're gonna incorporate, you gotta incorporate it now, because then it'll be too late very quickly.
So like, what can Mike do?
Bring it to the board and then have the board say incorporate it, like if have the engineer look into it. And my
We just signed
question,
off on the study, we just signed off on the money for the study, so it's right now. Halsted Avenue.
They're gonna be redoing the entire Halsted Avenue.
Yeah.
From Mamaroneck Avenue to Harris.
The question is does that
Sign
benefit
off
your
on that.
second mover advantage?
Have-
I don't know the answer to that.
Uh,
question.
The question, like, I've driven down Halsted Avenue in my life many times, but I don't know it intimately. So the question is there space? Where can you put the bike lanes? How many people are you gonna piss off by taking them away?
Yeah.
I assume parking. I don't think, there's no way you could take away any travel space. Right?
Correct.
So.
It's parking. You have to manipulate parking.
You know
So-
what the car wash
question,
is?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to any of the other boards yet?
I haven't spoken to any of the boards. I've been sort of working my way bottom up. So I've talked with on the traffic side, I talked with you guys today, Village of Larchmont, Town of Mamaroneck, that's their meeting next week. I haven't talked to them yet. On the
Yeah,
environmental side, I've talked to Village of Mamaroneck, Town of Mamaroneck. The PTAs, I've got Chatsworth, Mamaroneck Ave, Central. And I'm sort of onesie twosieing everyone together, and then I want to have, basically, I've got a grid of schools, PTA administration, municipalities, traffic commissions, environmental commissions, and I want to check all those boxes off and then go to the boards.
And just because we neighbor neighbor, obviously town of Mamaroneck, but we also neighbor town of Rye and like even going up Halsted, a little bit of Harrison. So I would suggest that not just tri-municipality, because even our Rye school district is like on the Rye border too.
Sure.
So I would even try to speak with them because those are kids biking or wanting to do things going into that area.
Rhinebeck is a walking district.
But there are no buses.
No buses.
Unless it's special ed.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
Mike,
it. They're a
you,
walking
you
district.
will catch everyone at the meeting that Tina mentioned, Safe Routes.
Yeah.
Everyone's there, all of us are there, yeah.
If you can, actually, well, is your email, up here? I can request that if,
Thursday morning.
putting you on our next, work session, is it work? Yeah, it would be the work session. To present to the board, if possible. I think it's
So-
next one is March 27th.
I wouldn't
If you're
say, I
available.
wouldn't say I'm ready, yet. I mean, my goal, so when I talk to people that have tried this in the past. The problem has been, people like the idea, but it's no one's top priority. It's like 8, 9, or 10, so it never gets advanced. Like this 2017 study that I pulled a lot of this data
Mhm.
from. They could never get in front of the board. So I wanna go to the board meeting with like 20 parents and a bunch of them, just to be like, this is a real deal, and that's why I want everyone's sign off. So I'm not there yet. I haven't collected all my stamps.
Can
Okay,
I push
can I-
back a little, Mike?
Yep.
I think this is a really nice opportunity that Leilani as a relatively new trustee
Sure.
is offering, and
Okay.
it might be the type of space for collaboration.
Okay.
And even,
That would just be my suggestion. I mean,
Okay.
you have this group. I don't think there's anybody here that's in disagreement with it. We have Safe Routes to Schools guru
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Many
think this,
people
you have a
before you have
cyclist,
tried it,
you know,
I've
I mean,
never
this is
seen anybody get
like,
as
we're
far
your
as you
20
got.
people.
but
Sure.
also,
Yeah.
even if Mamaroneck, a village is a practice for you, I think this would be a good
Sure, yeah.
space. I understand your readiness, totally understand what you possibly would need, but Jerry, what I'll ask, is there other, our neighboring people, municipalities, are they also, do they have grants similar to like the Homestead Avenue brick grant, happening right now?
We all use the same grant writer,
Mhm.
right? We're all in contract with the same grant writer. So a call to one would be a call to all,
Sure.
because with that kind of money available, if it's a tri-municipal or regional, the ranking for those kinds of grants goes sky high,
Sure.
because that money now is using that money for a larger population, right?
Sure.
So we have many times created shared service agreements with the town of Mamaroneck.
Okay.
But we've also applied recently for several grants with the town of Rye. So, and we collaborate all the time, but the key that happened this year is that the town of Rye and the town of Rye, the town of Mamaroneck used or hired our grant writers. So now we're all using the same grant writer.
Okay.
All we have to do, all the board has to do is give Dan, our deputy village manager, the directive to go after these grants. He sets up a meeting with the town administrator and the two town administrators. And we have a meeting with our grant writer and they go after this money.
Okay.
The grant is not the hard part. It's the elimination of parking.
Yeah.
Bike
Oh,
lanes.
yeah.
That's going to be
Rough.
right.
Jerry, is it just the whole
It's just-
project, or could we take the grant and put it towards something else? Like, I was thinking Palmer Road should be first.
We already have money for the Halsted project, Mike, and we want to put in, it's gonna be new sidewalks, new curbs, what they call bull outs, right, bull outs, pedestrian safety measures. But I think what you presented to us was the potential for a more wide-reaching study, right?
Sure.
Right, so that could utilize the 17 study and even make that a little bit more detailed, more refined. But I'm pretty sure you have the composition of the boards that would back up an idea like this.
Sure.
And just judging from the town and ours, Larchmont, they're kind of, I don't know. But I know that I thought you would have the backing of at least the town and the village.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so this might be the time. Plus, it would get you in front of the board so that I could say, do you want us to include this in the Halsted design?
Sure.
So if I have that directive, I give that directive to our consultants.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Because if I don't get that directive, I'm not sure the consultant will make it a priority because it's a challenge.
Sure.
And that's happening now, so we need to do it now.
Yeah.
We have the comprehensive plan to back
It's
it.
what's referred to as a policy window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Shrinking by the day.
Yeah,
That's the comprehensive plan, it's just an approved.
correct.
Yeah, I think
Everything
they
is-
call for this type of plan to be made.
I keep looking at
Mike,
this and it's a lot of-
I know that everybody wants to talk, and
just
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there's,
I'm
oh,
sorry.
sorry, that there's a lot, I've looked at this and there's a lot of rhetoric involved. but it's so great that, we're gonna try to push this forward and actually get something done. But real quickly, do you think, I don't know if this is your area, the sharrow marks,
Mhm.
do you think that would be appropriate? Like on Palmer Road, for example, like I look at Larchmont Avenue, I'm like, how come these guys have it, how come the village has it, and we don't have any of those in our area? I'm thinking that should be pushed forward.
If I can say on grant money, Mike, if you don't have the study to back up and support what you're applying for in the future, the study may show that the shallows don't work, and that it's probably not a recommended option. So a study provides that,
This sounds simple, but Larchmont Avenue has it, a number of streets in Larchmont have it.
but I don't know how they got there.
Right, okay, so-
Yeah, it's a big-
That was another bicycle advocate that.
Yeah, that was like 2011, 2012, we started on that. But,
And then there's also Sharrows on Fenimore Road going towards Scarsdale.
yes, so, thank
That's
you.
the town of. Monroe.
So on the Sharrow side, so like the bike lanes on Larchmont Ave are there because it was easy, because Larchmont Ave is an extremely wide road
Yeah.
because the trolley cars used to run there. So, but the cities, sorry, the village. They didn't really. When push came to shove, they didn't put bike lanes to the middle of town, right? Because that would have actually that would have taken some. You would have had to balance something.
Mhm.
You'd either have to reduce it by a lane or take away some parking, so they sort of punted on that. And the Sharrows are now totally faded and. I don't mean to sound to poo-poo Sharrows, but like I bike a lot and I don't see any difference. Sorry.
I think part of that too is that Larchmont Avenue is owned by Larchmont, where Palmer Avenue, Boston Post Road.
Yeah, those are county and state, so
roads,
it's
so
much
they
more
couldn't
difficult.
just-
We can add that to our county to-do list. All right, because we want to stay on schedule, thank you, Mike, for being
Yep.
here and leading such a lively conversation with everyone.
So just so yes, I would love to meet with the board.
Yeah,
on
I'm
the working
ready to
session.
die. I'm,
Perfect.
if you hear me.
Then I'll email you about the Halsted. How we can incorporate bike lanes into a Halsted plan
That happens at the board meeting.
at the board meeting. Okay.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah,
great.
I'm totally emailing you, asking for the presentation, and I'm also asking Dan to put you on the work session.
Okay, great.
Which will be March 27th, so if you want to put that on the calendar right now.
All right,
wanna create it now.
continuing
Yeah.
with old business, Claflin Avenue. Do we know what page that's on? HDMI did?
Yes.
Yeah, they all feel identical.
Yeah.
All right. No, you're good. Page 5. Claflin on page 5. Parking issues, no place to park, Village of Mamaroneck FD to check with the street and report to Dan. This is Ms. Buckfinder, requested a status update. The last thing, we were waiting for the building department.
Correct. Yes, the last reply, Chairman, from the fire department was directly from Fire Chief Costa. And he said the matter is to be handled by the fire inspector. He will check through the office of the building department of the width of the street, and the fire department reserves no comment past that point. What Chief Costa had reported, and that's going back, I would say, almost September is when I gave that reply to you. That's when, as soon as you brought it up, I remember his reply.
Yeah, on October 13th.
Yeah, October 13th. I got a good memory. Almost 57 this June. I still got a good memory.
So do we have, we're waiting to hear back.
It would be the building department. We handed it off to the building department. And they do have a new building inspector at the head of their helm.
You have a building inspector there.
You have my email, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but what Andy's talking about is the fire inspector, who is also a paid firefighter in White Plains. So what we have done in the Orienta section is we've taken fire trucks and DPW trucks to make sure that we could have access. So there's a little bit of a little field day, Brian, that we do.
Okay.
We'll bring a DPW truck, which is a little wider, similar to a landscape truck, and then we'll bring a fire truck and see how that works. Okay, so I'll park my truck, then we'll try to see if a fire truck fits down the road, then we'll park a truck that's a little bit wider, see if a fire truck fits down the road.
Okay.
We've done that several times on Sini and other areas like that.
Will we be able to do that at Claflin?
We can do that. Andy, we can bring that up at fire council.
Yes.
We can do that same demo that we did with Chief Pete last year.
Yes,
Or
correct,
2 years ago.
correct. I'll forward back to my notes to the council as you're requesting.
We'll give you that. It's almost like we do a traffic study with the fire truck.
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay, so we can do that.
Thank you. North Berry parking space removal. Do we have anyone on there?
Can I,
Yes,
we
sir.
can pass over this? That Mr. Dunlap,
Yes.
he asked us to reschedule it for April so he can be here.
Okay, we're rescheduling.
What number is that?
Number 2, 412 North Berry parking space removal. He couldn't be here. North Berry and Jefferson. Traffic.
Hey, one for that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, this was an email that came in. I think everyone saw it asking for a stop sign at North Berry and Jefferson, which is an intersection of the fire station on it across from the park. It's probably come up in safe schools.
Whenever we discussed it here, and the
Yeah.
fire department said you couldn't put a stop sign.
That's what I
But now
figured.
they're asking for a three-way stop sign, not a stop sign by the fire department.
So they want one heading towards north.
Is that what-
Heading towards.
No, I think heading towards.
Explain.
The other way,
Try to
and I
explain.
thought we said it was too close to the traffic light.
Yeah, it was almost resolved, like we really couldn't do much.
No, I
There's no
think, so
traffic
Dan,
there.
no, the traffic light at Carvel. Dan was gonna order, pedestrian signs, because I
Just
think that's the
maps.
problem, is because there's a daycare there. And the daycare always goes to the park and they cross
Mhm.
at that crosswalk by the firehouse. And Dan was gonna order, like
The big
flashing
The arrows
signs
pointing.
to indicate that there's a crosswalk and stop.
The crosswalks in front of the fire station. So when you look at the four-way intersection, the south side of the intersection, which is equal to Columbia sidewalk for Station 2, the crosswalk is there. There is a sign erected on the north side of the intersection in front of the commercial building
Right.
that indicates people get confused and they believe that's a stop sign. They start stopping. That's one issue that we have
That happens a
unable
lot.
to be, the village removed the original white line in the street. They originally had a white line to try to slow you down as a crosswalk. That turned into a blunder because people were actually thinking it was a sign that was stopping other people, almost getting other people.
Yes.
But the last time I know we brought this up, unless my memory is getting foggy. Definitely no stop sign coming from Mamaroneck Avenue traveling toward toward Halsted Avenue. On North Barry, because it would put vehicles directly stopped in front of the fire station. Which would impede the fire apparatus from getting out of the fire station safely. And our volunteer firefighters getting into the parking lot to board the fire apparatus. That was definitely a no-brainer. I do believe, if I'm not, Ryan, if I'm not wrong, in the same conversation, and I can't speak for anybody else, I remember if you were to erect a sign on the south side north side of the intersection in front of the commercial building, right, where you see that pin bob, the blue pin bob, yeah, flint lock. If that sign is erected there, it would create issues that could possibly back traffic up over the railroad bridge. And now for every action, there is a reaction, the old fashioned saying that you probably in the morning would have traffic already backed up to an intersection that's controlled by a traffic light.
I said that. No
Yeah,
one know-
thank
no
you,
one
Mike.
know which way to.
Thank you, Michael. 'Cause I
We have a
said,
four-way stop sign, one stops, or
Yes.
waits a half a minute, and no one knows who to go first.
correct.
Right.
And that's
So
definitely
earlier,
gonna-
traffic calming.
So that would definitely send the traffic back to Halsted Avenue in no time at all. You'd have
I-
gridlock.
And I believe that right now, the police speed monitor thing is there, so maybe they're monitoring the speed for now to get data.
So Tina, was it speed or was it pedestrian safety? concern?
Well, it was pedestrian safety, so I don't know why the speed monitor. is
Yeah, I
there.
don't know why it's there.
There were also
I mean,
complaints about. speed.
I drive that way almost every day, because I come from Harbor Heights and it's impossible to drive down the Mamaroneck Avenue, so I actually go that way to go to Mamaroneck High School. And I think it's hard. But there's a lot of commercial trucks always parked on that side of the road there.
On Barry or
So
Jefferson?
it makes it hard for cars to drive. It makes it hard for cars to see. But it's probably because they're going to the deli. Like, I don't think they're not parked there all day long.
Well, there's a deli
that-
next to the park.
Oh,
like-
that-
Yeah.
I know what deli you're talking, yeah.
So there- I mean, that, I think, I don't know, but I think that causes a big part of the problem.
And right where you see the pedestrian sign, that's the last car that can park there, because that's the fire department's indication for the swing for the fire truck.
Because it's very narrow when cars are, especially when trucks are parked there.
That's the area. next to the
I
park.
think because they also, that driveway is where they have a lot of like landscaping,
They come in and out.
come in and out.
Back
Yeah.
there, right?
Yes.
But I personally, I don't think I really see too many people park, but I do know that it's like a landscape.
In the morning, there's
Yeah,
always
oh,
car
okay.
parked. That's why I think maybe they're going to the deli,
Right.
but it
Right,
causes a problem.
So since this is not in front of a house, we can change this to the solar and have the yellow LEDs shine on a timer. So we can change that sign out to a more substantial sign,
Mhm.
right? The one that's a couple inches thick. And that'll help out. This other stuff, this detour stuff, that's not there. So this is an older picture, right? From 2
Yeah,
years
that's
ago,
going, yeah,
a
that's
year
going,
ago,
that's going.
right? So the crosswalks here. So whenever there's a crosswalk on just one side of the street, everyone, no one wants to cross the street and then cross here, right? They want to cross there, from there to there. But without a stop bar, you can't really have a crosswalk here.
So that's what we're requesting, for Dan to speak with, DPW about.
Jerry, how come there's not a crosswalk across Jefferson?
Yeah.
Could there
That's what I was
be,
wondering.
could there
Yeah, there
be
could
so
be
that
right
it's
there.
more visible?
Yeah.
So, because
There could be a
that,
crosswalk, Tina, right here.
it's definitely a route to school, and then at least there's a crossing guard when you get to Carvel.
Yep, no, I can get Anthony to paint the crosswalk here,
What
Sure,
about,
they
the
want
what
to,
about
yeah.
the other side too?
on this side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, I
As long
just
as
feel
there's,
like,
as long as there's a stop bar, I can
yeah,
augment the
Yes,
stop
yeah,
bar.
you have it on
I
both
just
sides.
feel like it would be more visible for cars too, like, it obviously safer for pedestrians too, but like the cars, you would see it. So
Yeah.
you-
Because this is an indicator that people,
Right.
you gotta watch for people crossing. so.
Right, because there are kids that walk there all the time versus going to ride out.
They're going to the park.
Yeah, and this park is getting a
Makeover.
$250,000 makeover.
Crossing which way?
So
Later.
I'll look at the the crosswalks here and there. All right, to see if I can get a photograph sent to Matt, so he can give us a quick design.
Good.
And then I can change this sign out right here,
That's like.
To an LED?
That's usually been a start.
an LED flasher
LED flasher.
on this one, and then can you go,
Yes.
Ryan, I was looking down this way towards Carvel Plaza.
I was just saying lit up signage.
Carvel Plaza, is that the official name?
Cardinal.
That's the official name. The guy who owns this building calls it Carvel Plaza. Oh, you turn around. Spin around.
Yeah, face back to the fires.
So let's see down the road. No, you're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good there.
I get off track here.
There you go.
It's like a comprehensive.
I have a list. I have a running
Travel.
list. It's okay.
Yeah, travel down here. I want to get to the other side of the bridge.
The first one's the fire department side, that's the.
Right,
yeah.
so Andy,
Yep.
when there's a call, this one flashes, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
The fire
it's
truck
still
presses,
a-
you press a button in the fire truck as the apparatus leaves the fire quarters and it flashes to indicate that there's a firehouse.
Okay, so I want to see if I can put a pedestrian crossing here. I won't have a pedestrian crossing here though, so that's the problem. Matt won't let me put a pedestrian crossing sign.
Yeah, we had
here
too much trouble there.
Because there's no crosswalk here, so.
No bar. Yeah.
So there was one here, but there's one here, so I can make this a flasher as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
Yeah, we can make it a flasher.
Flashing signs and crosswalks.
Flashing signs.
Sounds like we're
Thank
making
you.
progress,
Brian,
Shortcuts.
right?
Brian,
That's good.
Can we shoot to Rockland and do the same thing?
Rockland, I got to study.
This is study. Okay, so we got things happening there. Union Avenue already took care of. Crown Court and Knollwood. Anyone?
Is that no one in Castle?
Crown Court and Knollwood.
And I,
I
think
live,
that they-
that's where I live. The guy's not here though.
There's still,
Move that over to,
yeah.
to the
We have
following
to
week.
examine
Is
it.
there an update?
There's not really enough, there's not much of that thing.
I thought that.
That we're gonna examine.
No,
And then-
No,
Bring your card
he-
up.
he had-
He didn't go.
he didn't go, sorry. I'm like,
All right, any,
Wait, a quick, I'd say, Norwood and Court, is that where we are?
yeah, Crown Court and Knollwood.
The last time we met, Dan was supposed to contact Matt Carmody and Cohen and to take a look at it. He talking about this for like a year.
You said he did?
With a solution, did he come with any ideas?
He did, no, he hasn't gotten back to us yet.
Okay, so Dan's still looking at that.
No, Matt is looking.
Matt is looking at it. Dan did contact when I spoke with you.
Right, so
I
Matt
sent you that
actually
email,
isn't-
Leilani, when I was
Yes.
talking to Dan.
So that's what I'm just saying, Dan, Matt did not study it, but Dan did contact.
Yeah, I don't
Is that-
know if Matt did study it.
No, I said Matt didn't, what did I just say?
Dan was gonna
Dan
contact Matt.
initiated contact.
That's what I said, I hope I said that.
Yeah,
And I said, but Matt didn't,
Oh, I misunderstood.
Sorry.
Matt went there already.
no, I'm
So,
sorry.
So let's move on to that. Anything else on that? Parking meters on Mamaroneck Avenue.
This is the. fellow
This
who
is
came
the-
by
That
last
was
time,
Miss
right?
Vincent Marconi.
Yeah.
We have business owners that are asking for parking meters.
I don't need anything else.
They-
I don't need anything else.
It's a pro-commercial group.
They had a time limit on how.
It was
long we
30
went.
minutes.
I forget what it was.
Yeah, there was details. In the
Or
minutes.
hours.
Yeah, the motion, 30, we passed the motion, 30 minutes, right? It's supposed to be 2 hours or.
And bike lanes.
Always bike
So-
lanes, bike lanes everywhere.
Mike, you guys, Ryan, did you guys pass, because then that has to go to the board. That has to go through the liaison to the board so that we can talk about it and put it on a work session.
That was a motion goes to the liaison, goes.
Yeah, so you guys did a motion and voted, whatever the vote call was.
Did we vote
The
on it?
last
We've
meeting.
done a lot of
you did,
motions.
you
Yeah, we did, we
you
voted on this.
You did that.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
can I put in an email right now, so I can.
Yeah, let's read the motion.
Ryan made a motion to explore the installation of parking meters from Hoyt to Grand on both sides of Marana Gateway, seconded and unanimously approved. Mr. Marconi was pleased with the recommendation and thanked the traffic commission. Great. All right, so is that presented to the board?
That'll go to the next working session, right?
Parking meters
Let's
on
remember-
Atlantic Avenue.
February meeting.
But
Right, last
between
month.
here, it's right here.
Between.
All about the Grand Street by Dipping.
Okay.
From the.
So it'd be the 500 to the 900 block.
Yep. That's it.
There you go.
And,
Yep.
all right, can we
500,
keep on moving? I just really wanted to get to 9 o'clock just once.
Perhaps.
Have this double screen so you could always copy.
What are we
and
on,
paste it.
I'm hoping.
It's right there. In general, with parking meters or. in
Did we,
general.
did we ever get the study on, did we ever get on this issue, the amount of tickets that are issued?
Sorry, say again?
Sorry, I know that we asked for a review for. I'm just gonna grab this for 1 second. You know, just to help to see what the enforcement was, that we had asked the amount of parking tickets that were being handed out or given out or violations that
Yeah.
were being issued for the 500 to the 900 area in regard to the parking limitation. Did we ever get a resolve?
And Michael, you had some, do you want to say something about this?
Well, that was in the January minutes, so we're still waiting on that data. but-
Right.
Yeah, I did.
I don't know if it even got that far. I don't know if it left here to the chief to give us that information.
We should follow, so how are we gonna do that?
That would be,
We submitted to them, I guess.
With that, it is.
Parking between the 300 and 900 block,
500, 900.
so 500 to 900 block of Mamaroneck, we wanted enforcement for parking tickets.
Some report on how much it was being enforced.
Because we have business owners. Yes, sir.
so you took
That
the
would
tri.
be, that would be
tri-
violation on, in front of Tri-City, that would be violation of the overtime. Part.
Right.
The other side. Thank you, it's fine. Yeah, I'll let her know.
The other side would be like parking in fire department.
And then, Michael, do you
Yeah,
want?
I'll be quick. So, yeah, I missed February's meeting, but in January, I know I spoke to you, Laura. There was something about,
Writing a
how to
letter.
move up, how to push forward with parking enforcement. And we spoke that you and I were gonna draft a letter requesting more parking enforcement officers. I don't know if you recall, but that was spoken about, and I'm hoping that the letter would include increased enforcement, increased penalties and violations issue. But since we're also here, and I know Jerry did, you're here, I'm glad the officer's here. I was mentioning at our Christmas party that, you know, as traffic commissioner, I've been on this this committee for 14 months, and if there's not enough enforcement for our approved projects, like the traffic calming, whatever measures we take, like stop signs, moving parking spaces and whatnot, then what are we, we're not as effective. So I want to make a motion, or I'm not trying to do this, to propose to hire more parking enforcement officers. And I don't know how the budget works, and I know we talk about whether the parking enforcement officer brings in the revenue necessary to pay for their position, but I don't care about that. I'm thinking that it's just going to improve the quality of life of the Marin. We do issue these parking spots. If violations of people who are parking overnight when it's supposed to be 2 hours, or the overcrowding of all those trucks and cars parking in Washingtonville where they don't belong. So I was hoping that's how to do that, and also with the police department, if it's not out of our league, maybe they can shift their resources to make more of a focus, issue more parking.
So I don't want to cut you off.
Not, I'm trying to summarize. I'm not gonna summarize.
So the chief asked for a 5th parking enforcement officer. It's in the budget to hire November 1st.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Look at that.
Is there,
And what about, okay,
I'm sorry to
That's
interject.
okay.
Would we, how do we review the monetary violations that are being handed out? Is there a way to increase that possibly, like,
You want to look at the code, you mean?
or the amount? If it's a parking ticket, for instance, is $25 and somebody has really no problem parking on the street for 5, 6, 7, 8 days in that one spot at $25, it's a drop in the bucket for them. How do we increase that behavior modification? How do we increase, example, commercial vehicles that are parked on the street 4, 6, 8 days that shouldn't be parked on the street whatsoever? Do we increase those violations to begin to change the thought process that you cannot do this? It is not unacceptable.
So this committee can think about changing the violation, but only the board of trustees can change. the actual
Absolutely, but
violation.
how do you go about that conversation?
So if you're looking for data from the police department regarding certain areas and what kind of violations are issued there, if you give them time, they can find that. Okay? Now, keep in mind, I'm saying that, but I'm also saying that the police department just recently lost clerical help and support staff, right? So the chief lost her secretary. She's now a clerk in, she's now the clerk in Newcastle, or where? Up there, up Westchester, right? And then little JP, John Paul, he became a police officer. He left the office. So we can get you that stuff. But we need to narrow it down. So it can't just be village-wide. It has to be certain areas. And then you can create some kind of an assessment from that information. But that's typically done, not in this large committee, but small, that the chair would kind of appoint a couple of members as a subcommittee to be able to do that kind of work. Meet off to the side type of thing, a different night, and look through that stuff. But if you want to analyze that, you can analyze that. As far as the fines, only the board can increase those
Understood.
fines because it's a law change.
Okay.
But you can make
All
a
right.
recommendation.
So,
It's your goal.
yeah, I know. So there's interest in forming a subcommittee, I imagine.
to get data about.
No, not to get data, to review data. We don't collect data, we review
Review
data.
data about the amount of.
That's
violations.
correct.
I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. It's like that.
Well,
If
so
I
I
give
need a
you-
healthy
no.
dose of skepticism when you're looking at data, so that's you.
But I'm just saying that we can do all the research, but as Laura mentioned, it seems like we just need to double the fines. That's when it comes.
Well,
to
I don't know,
conclusion.
well,
That's what
why,
I'm
that's,
guessing.
that's just a,
Well, I'm making, because it sounds like $25 here and there is not enough. We need to increase those fines, so there's really change the behavior.
okay, so I think, all
I
right,
guess
well,
research, I mean, we can do the research. Yeah.
all right, we're gonna move on and.
Just a quick question, what is the timeframes you want for the data for 500 to 900? Do you want it this year, and you want it monthly? for-
Yeah, can we do like the last 12 months, like year on year? Yeah, 12 months would be great. And then we can form a small group to take a look at that.
No, this is great.
Any volunteers that are interested in taking a look at that? All right,
You're the data guy.
Laura.
He doesn't know.
All right, Laura, Mike, anyone else? I'll look at it too.
Okay.
All right, Laura, Mike and Ryan will serve as subcommittee of the, looking at this traffic, the parking data, that'd be great. All right, Rockland,
Leilani, what did I write? What did
Hold
you write
on,
about
I
Rockland?
wasn't, sorry,
I wrote those notes.
you
but-
did,
but
and
can't-
hold on.
Can't remember them.
You said we will be scheduling, a walking assessment
Yeah.
similar to Union, for Rockland. Just need to get some dates out.
So do we have residents that we can invite there? Does anyone know anybody? In those neighborhoods?
Well, I
You might be able
think
to-
we were gonna do, the PTA and Safe Routes to School
Oh,
as
because
part
of-
of it.
Okay. Just
That's
wanna mention it
something
tomorrow.
that Safe Routes to School has been talking about like for years.
yeah.
You know these guys
And we
eliminate
need
the
to-
parking, right?
We
Yeah,
need to do.
I
parking
figure,
is Great.
They can do rooms with
I-
in that courthouse.
I did get an email from a resident
Rockland and Harvard.
recently.
Yeah.
Matt's sister.
And I explained to her how we
Yes.
removed the parking and she said that that wasn't.
Small world.
enough, and She was talking about another little section. So
Okay.
it's just
And
like,
she has
I
children,
feel like it's better,
so
but
that
other
would
people
directly
don't.
affect.
So who wants to do the walk-in assessment? Who should do? the
I would
walk-in
love to be there.
Do you know Mandy Stikos?
Is that who sent the email?
Well, she contacted us over a year ago. She lives on Hill.
Is she
And
on a
she's-
village committee?
She is.
Yes, then it was her.
Rob, are you able to do a walk-in assessment?
You
Maybe
live there,
join,
don't you?
TT lives so close by.
You live in the corner house.
Could you and Tina, are you able to do something with Rob?
Can we ask Mandy? She was very interested.
That'd be
To go up
great.
To the school.
Yeah, I mean, I. we
Rob's been
can
looking at
probably-
this thing for a long
We
time.
can probably include the central school. That's central school PTA.
Okay. Super. All right, so walk-in assessment. All right, I see that our tiny URL expired.
Sarah is Dan.
Dan,
Our tiny URL expired. I gotta fix that problem.
he's not leaving, is he?
David, did you notice?
I
Oh, he's getting water.
Okay, just want to make sure he's coming back.
Melania said it expired.
Maybe it
Say that
expires the
again.
moment. after
What did I say
that.
expired?
I know, we just looked at it. You said our tiny URL expired.
Yeah, I keep, trying to go on the link and it,
Well, I
it's
think,
just.
I think everybody's having some sort of,
Yeah,
technical
I love
issues.
how-
I'm just getting, okay, my daughter just said she had to walk out of the house to send a text.
All
So
right,
maybe
That's every
it's
day
some-
at my house.
Maybe something's
got-
going on in
so
Newbury
final
with the weather.
Towers on the blank.
That never happens.
Page walking
Yeah.
assessment,
Something like
White
that.
Plains Road. and
Oh,
Greenwich,
right, you
right?
can't have a conversation. It's definitely a relationship. You have to stand outside and they all think it's something.
we all have the old White Plains Road and Grand Street walk-in assessment. Now.
Great.
Jerry. Okay, so, review of, February 14th minutes.
Did everybody have a copy of the minutes?
When did they go?
I didn't-
I have it.
I think
Were
I
those
made them.
my
I sent them on
minutes?
Friday.
What is it?
I sent them on
February.
Friday,
February. Yeah, you were.
These are from
February,
Dave.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
but I didn't distribute to everyone because it's.
I have copies.
I
Okay.
didn't get it.
I'm giving everyone
Sent it
copies.
January.
I wasn't clear on what the whole process for getting them final
No
was.
one's clear on it.
Okay.
They yelled that twice about it.
And if I may comment, I think Dave's minutes were
No, that's all right.
spot on, the best, brief, concise, to the point.
Short form.
This is like
I-
letting
I-
people know you know how to
I-
fix printers. Never let people know. you know.
Are you trying to say that Laura and I write?
Yes. Great idea.
Dave.
Yeah.
Really got it.
You got a minute, right? You got a minute. Right, I should everybody do
I
that.
think we just need to add those motions.
Okay.
Motion on it.
Thank you. You'll be appointed minute taker.
Hey.
So I think I don't think we can accept the motions. I don't think we can entertain a proposal to accept the motions as is because we need to make a modification on adding the motions that we voted on.
Okay.
Last time.
We'll take care of it. I'll redistribute it. We
You
can
can
approve
approve
it.
it with the modification.
And also.
We can approve the modification. Okay, so
Sorry, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from the February 14th Valentine's Day meeting with the motions added. Is there a second?
I wasn't there, guys. I can't second.
You
I can't vote.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fine.
I have one last comment to make. Jerry? I'm
Yeah.
Glad that you're here. We have this spreadsheet. Do you have a copy of our spreadsheet?
I do not.
Good, okay.
Ryan gave it to me.
So one of our issues has been, as we've said, we are not experts. We are not the traffic engineers. And you made a comment, which I hadn't heard before, which I thought was interesting, that the village can't make traffic calming suggestions because it would create a liability if there was something went wrong, which is.
We didn't know that.
We didn't know that, number one. So historically, since I've been on the traffic commission has been asked to do just that, to make traffic calming decisions when we really weren't qualified. I was happy to hear that you had made a suggestion not that long ago that our commission meetings should have a traffic engineer as part of our committee to provide that expertise. And so we're hoping that that can happen. In lieu of that, we have suggested or requested to Dan Sarnoff that Matt Carmody be given a copy of our spreadsheet, which has all the information that we've gleaned from people who've complained about issues, all the discussions and recommendations about resolving different things. We just haven't been qualified to make the appropriate solutions to those problems. So our suggestion and request was to give our spreadsheet to Matt Carmody or a subordinate if the cost is an issue. And have him refer to this and based on this, make decisions about what the appropriate solutions might be. If he has any questions, he can come back to us. He can go to the locations, but so that's been our request, but we haven't gotten an answer to whether that request can be acted upon. Acted on. And I'm leaving it to you.
And so one of the, to even take it, and thanks Rob for clarifying that. And so one of the things that we did as an extra step, so Dan suggested looking through 25 pages was like that was a lot of information to look through. So we took about 42 old business items and then the committee ranked those items.
Actually, that's 25.
What's that?
Less, we didn't do as many. So we have 55 old, literally
Yeah,
old.
and so we
business items
ranked 40.
that we have not been able to get to.
And so then we scored, we individually scored those out. We created averages and those fell into three main buckets of old business. One, kind of on the low end, one kind of in the middle, and then one that are skewing towards, what we consider real top priorities. There's about 16 of those.
Okay, so this is directed to your liaison. There is some room in the budget after I presented it last Friday for some additional items that can be added. If we want to talk about a cap of maybe bringing in a traffic engineer to these meetings and creating an annual cap of how much billable hours that individual would do. We could easily knock out some of these items, as well as maybe attend every other meeting or something along those lines. Right. So these experts, Matt is a $250 per hour guy, right? So, but he does have associates that are, just as competent and just as educated, who could come to the meetings, maybe every other month. And for the first bulk of it, maybe we could get AKRF traffic engineers to look at that list and see what's the easy low-hanging fruit and then go from there. But Leilani, if you
let me add it one more thing to the work session.
no, you don't have to. So what you have
Okay,
to,
great.
so what we have to do is, so when we talk about the board, when we
Mhm.
talk about the budget, which we start after the 27th, when we
Mhm.
actually have the initial public hearing, is that we will add certain things as a request of the department heads.
So is that just for this committee or could it be for other committees as well?
So
Because that's something I know that one will ask for somebody to be in their meeting every day.
So it could be for other committees, but
Mm.
I'm sure these individuals are not going to tell anyone that we've asked for an engineer. But the reality is, just like we have engineers and experts at the land use boards, which get
Yes.
paid by escrow, not by us. we may be at a point with such a large list to maybe employ a traffic engineer for a period of time and then maybe scale down a little bit.
All
Right,
right.
but if we use a cap number and then we get to that cap, I can say, all right, let's go back to the old way, maybe bulk up the list again a little bit and then have a different funding year.
Can you remind me when we come to that point to bring that up? Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so we can have that. That won't take effect until June, because that's when our new budget date is, June 1st. But we could easily.
Right around the
raise
corner.
it. It's right around the corner. You're
Does
right.
that include his site visits or that's a different budget?
So site visits, we pay him separate from that. So we pay him out of an engineering line. This would be specific to the traffic commission.
So I think what the board could start thinking about how often and just being mindful of whatever budget that we may get. Just be mindful of how often we
Every other
want
month, that's
somebody
fair.
with
Yeah,
Top of my head.
and the budget committee member, the budget discussions are the second week of April. It's that whole week we do budget discussions. And then the budget has to be approved by the last meeting in April, which I think is the 11/10 the 24th of April is when this board will adopt the budget. But I posted the tentative budget. If anyone wants to see it, it's, I think we were making paper copies today. I don't know if we put it online yet or not. I don't check because I don't have to check the website every day, but I'll make sure Robert gets it up there.
Super.
All right, so that'll definitely address this kind of stuff. Because this is,
Does that help?
it got a lot bigger than last year.
Good job.
Yeah, Robert put it together. Thank you, Rob, again. I appreciate it. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
We're gonna shut the Zoom.
Motion.
I move to adjourn the
You
meeting.
want a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
I.
Steve, when you get a
All right.
chance.
I'll take your name off.
That's good.
My
Thank
bad.
you, everybody.
We'll send you an email.
Andy, I gotta talk to you about driver.
Okay.
Thank you.
What are you trying to?
I'm on Wi-Fi, right?
Awesome, thank you.
Right, see that?